Jury selection has resumed on day 2 of Donald Trump's long-awaited hush money trial in New York. Here's a clip of Trump arriving at court.
Thank you very much. This is a trial that should have never been brought. It's a trial that is being looked upon, looked at all over the world. They're looking at it and analyzing it. Every legal pundit, every legal scholar said this trial is a disgrace. We have a Trump-hating judge. We have a judge who shouldn't be on this case. He's totally conflicted. But this is a trial that should never happen. It should have been thrown out a long time ago. If you look at Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, all great legal scholars, there's not one that we've been able to find that said this should be a trial. I was paying a lawyer and marked it down as a legal expense. Some accountant, I didn't know, marked it down as a legal expense. That's exactly what it was. And you get indicted over that? I should be right now in Pennsylvania, in Florida, in many other states, North Carolina, Georgia, campaigning. This is all coming from the Biden White House because the guy can't put two sentences together. He can't campaign. They're using this in order to try and win an election, and it's not working that way. It's working the opposite way. So check that out. Legal expense. It's called legal expense. That's what you're supposed to call it.
Mr. Trump,
you get indicted on that. Nobody's ever seen it. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. So thank you very much for coming. I'm now going to sit down for many hours. I am now going to sit down. The voters understand it. All you have to do is look at the polls. This is a sham trial, and the judge should recuse himself because it's totally conflicted. Thank you very much.
The first court sketch from day 2 of Trump's hush money trial has been released. The picture shows Trump next to his lawyer at the defense table, observing the video screen that sits in front of them. Here's a quick reminder as to why Trump is on trial today. Porn star Stormy Daniels claims she and Trump had sex in 2006, and she was then paid by Trump's then lawyer Michael Cohen to stay quiet about it. Trump is accused of falsifying his business records by saying the reimbursement money he gave Cohen was for legal fees. He faces 34 counts of fraud, but denies any legal wrongdoing, and also denies having an affair with Daniels. The maximum penalty if Trump is found guilty is 4 years behind bars. During just the first 2 days of jury selection, we've seen how hard it could be to find 12 impartial New Yorkers and several alternates to serve on this jury in the trial. Yesterday, more than half of the first batch of jurors were excused because they said they could not be impartial. Today, several people have already been excused for the same reason. Experts say the high-profile nature of the trial adds to the difficulties. There's nobody in the country who doesn't have an opinion one way or another, former Manhattan prosecutor Jeremy Saland said to the BBC. These challenges mean it could take even longer than expected, 1 to 2 weeks, to find New Yorkers who can set aside their feelings about Trump to give him the fair trial everyone in the U.S. is entitled to.
It's very difficult for anyone really in this country to not come to this with prior opinions. I think we all have prior opinions about the defendant unless you've been living in a cardboard box since 2014. But personally, the right to a fair trial in this country is more important to me than anything this particular defendant has done or any feelings about him that I personally have. It actually seemed pretty even. Surprisingly, I thought because this is Manhattan, it might be a little bit more liberal, but there were a number of people who said, yes, I listen to Fox, I watch Fox, I have been on Trump mailing lists in the past, etc. So not really leaning towards one side or the other that I could tell. I got a sense that people were really trying to put anything that they had brought to this aside and step in and do their civic duty.
Another prospective juror is a software engineer at the Disney company. She was worried about making her sister's wedding in September and asked the judge if it will be all right to go. He said yes, joking that it would be a problem if the court was still in session in September. Here's a clip of another excused juror.
You don't want to disclose your name? Okay, yeah. Can I just see your jury card?
That's your juror ID, and what was your reaction when you found out the case was about Donald Trump?
Surreal. Pretty one word to describe it, it's just surreal.
And what was it that you think got you dismissed?
I told him I had unconscious bias. I could be impartial, but definitely had unconscious bias. Being from the state of Texas, my family and friends, a lot of them are Republican, so I'm assuming that did not favor in the prosecution.
And for you, working, as you say, in a conservative environment from the state of Texas, how do you think that would have also impacted your life and your work?
I don't think it would have impacted it much. I think me politically, I'm right in the middle. I could care less about politics. I'm politically apathetic, but I just didn't want to have, people have an impression on me as they see me.
Do you think an impartial jury can be chosen in New York?
No. I think, you got to find a state that it's, a state that's right in the middle, that they can find an impartial jury. New York heavily leans Democrat, so it's going to be tough to find an impartial jury. It's just tough. Like, if you look yourself in the mirror and have an honest conversation, it's just tough. I mean, it's a big case, right? If it wasn't Donald Trump, then maybe.
In an Associated Press poll, half of U.S. adults say that Trump's conviction in the hush money case would render the presumptive Republican nominee for president unfit to return to the White House. That view is supported by 81% of Democrats, 47% of independents, and 15% of Republicans. It is worth noting that the poll says only about one-third of respondents think Trump actually did something illegal in this hush money case. If we look at his other 3 criminal cases, the poll says that more than half of respondents think the former president acted illegally. The poll was from a group of 1,204 adults and was conducted between April 4th and April 8th, 2024. Trump looked far more engaged this afternoon than he did yesterday. He has spent over an hour angled toward the jury box, watching his jurors answer questions one by one. The judge reprimanded Trump for muttering at a potential juror and has also warned his lawyers over their line of questioning. Judge Merchan also reminded Trump's lawyers that this was not a cross-examination in response to the overly aggressive questioning on some prospective jurors.
Going to a bodega. You know about that, right? Thank you very much. I just want to say that
said they don't want to elect someone with a felony conviction. You think you'll lose the White House because of this trial?
I just want to thank you very much, and we are going to continue our fight against this judge. We think he's totally conflicted. He's a conflicted judge. As you know, we're in appeal. I don't think there has ever been a judge more conflicted than this one, so we'll see how that all works out. We're having a hard time. We're having a hard time with the New York State system. It's under watch by the whole world, and it's not looking very good. So we think we have a very conflicted, highly conflicted judge. He shouldn't be on the case, and he's rushing this trial, and he's doing as much as he can for the Democrats. This is a Biden-inspired witch hunt, and it should end very quickly. Thank you very much, everyone.
I'll see you tomorrow for day 3. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more Trump trial updates.